Hi, and welcome to episode 1 of the 2021 USATKD US Open. I'm national coach Barbara Brand, along with my Poomsae pal Miyako Yerick. And Miyako, it seems like about 100 years, right?
It's been so long since we had that Grand Slam, but really it was just a couple months. So I'm excited that we have this opportunity again to get some ranking points. It's a major, try and get a spot on that national team roster. And we have a bunch of international competitors at this event. Of course, it is the US Open. We're used to having a lot more people come, but we have about 200 athletes for this session, which is great. And we have 8 countries participating. So United States, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, Canada, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, and Nicaragua. So we got a bunch of continents here from all over the world. I'm very excited.
Hey, Miyako, let's get going.
Let's go. All right, and kicking off our very first division here for the 2021 on US Open is the Senior 1 male division. This is flight 1. We will have 2 flights, all males today, Senior 1 and Senior 2.
First up, we have Daniel Lee from Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia.
And we have seen Daniel Lee before at some of our online tournaments. This team out of Georgia is very strong. They have a few athletes again competing at this tournament. Opening again, Kumgang, not an easy form to open here in the prelims. Doing a good job staying pretty steady here in these crane stances and a nice high knee.
And we're off to a good start and a good score for Daniel Lee with 7.1. So as all of our audience probably knows, each competitor does 2 Poomsae. In this case, for this division, we have Kumgang to start off and Taeguk Chiljang.
If this video was sent to you from maybe a family member competing, these forms are scored out of 10 points. Accuracy is done live at 40% of the score, and then performance, the presentation, is 60%. So that presentation really does become important, and that's their rhythm and flow, their power, the way they present themselves, their expression of energy.
Hello.
That was a very good run for Daniel Lee. Good way to start off the competition. Even a higher score for Taeguk Chiljang, as we might imagine, the 7.27. Kumgang, a little bit of a minefield for the athletes trying to make sure the accuracy is just right. And this one, he was able to open up a little bit more and end up with 7.18. Was that 7.1825, Miyako?
I think that was right.
Shut.
And here we have Hyunsuk Lee from Team Champions out of New York.
Taking a little aggressive tempo there on the spins. We could see his center of gravity pushing just a little bit past center. Able to hold on to that one better. And he's nice and strong. We're seeing a lot of power coming through on those stomps in the mountain blocks.
바로
I'll say they probably were happy to have Kumgang as the first form because they could just redo the recording if they did a mistake. But it's
Right, you mean as opposed to the second one, right?
right, exactly.
Right. So he receives a 6.940 for that first Poomsae.
샷.
We'll just briefly talk again if you don't know that much about Poomsae, or just as a reminder to all athletes, because this is the preliminary round, we'll take the top half of this flight into the semis. So there will be 15 athletes here. We'll take the top 8 into the semis from this flight, and we will have the second flight just a little bit later today after we see some senior 2 males.
Good. Finishing with a nice, strong, powerful line. A few of those front stances in there are a little bit short, probably trying to keep it nice and safe
샷.
so that he had the balance to go from side to side. So totally understandable there. That's Hyun-Suk Lee again from Team Champions in New York with a higher score. He should be happy with this one at 7.1 for Taeguk Chiljang. So raising his score a little bit with that second Poomsae. And finishing up the preliminary round with 7.020.
준비.
Up next, we have Justin Chen from California, training in Eagles Taekwondo.
Eagles Taekwondo is one of the well-known teams out of California. They have a few members also competing in the US Open. Justin is, of course, from California, competed in the Summer of Poomsae where he got a bronze medal. And he also competed in the Grand Slam where he got first place in team. So not only does he do individual, but also team.
Yes,
At a
he looks
very
pretty
high
comfortable.
level. Yeah.
Looks pretty comfortable here. He's taking a pretty quick pace with Kumgang as he goes to those spins. This one here, probably his best Hakari Sogi of the bunch.
바로.
He
And
also
a clean
looks pretty
finish.
tall. So Kumgang can be harder for some of the taller athletes, but he was able to stay pretty rounded there.
Gets a 6.67. And like everybody else, hoping for a higher score in Chiljang.
시작.
This form to me, Miyako, I don't know about for you too, but it seems like it's just so different than Kumgang, and that Kumgang has such clear structure, and this one a little bit more playroom to show the presentation and give a little bit more volume in a more individual way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like with Kumgang, where you have so many of those 8 counts, the 5 counts, the tempo is sort of structured for you. But with Chiljang here, there's a lot of places for you to play with the tempo, really try and push some of those stances, especially at the top with the camera right there in your face.
차렷.
So I think that we'll see some of his teammates later on. I know they take an aggressive step there at the top with that rib cage punch. So nice that Justin was able to boost up his score a little bit.
Yeah, going from a 6.67 to a 6.8, that's a big jump. And he finishes with a 6.75. Next up, we have Carter
Jimmy.
Nordson from US Taekwondo Center, coached by Master Hojin Park.
시작.
You know, having watched so many of these Poomsae over and over with you, Coach Brand, throughout the different tournaments, I start to notice little things. And so here with Carter, we'll take a look at his spins. He does a little bit of a step rather than a spin. So if he wants to just continue to smooth out that rotation on the ball of the foot, so it's not a step, step, step on the spin here, but really kind of just pivot on the ball of the foot smoothly.
Right. What I always appreciate is something in the background that I can monitor their height moving from stance to stance. So behind him, he has a couple of flags and then the photos there. So I'm looking to see if that head drops. And the first couple of times it did, we'll see if he can do a little bit better job of staying level. She did there. His first couple of shots at that, he was a little bit higher. So good job to Carter Norson, gets at 6.5. And that, what you mentioned, might have impacted his score a bit.
Right, Koomgang, so much of the form is low in the stances. You have to stay really grounded through so much of the form. So any kind of up and down or jerkiness in the transitions will come across more.
Same thing here, all these transitions from direction to direction, he needs to stay level. He's coming up just a hair every time, and that is going to impact the score.
But he has really nice long arms. If he continues to work on those techniques, I feel like you just take up so much volume of space in the camera, it looks really good. So I think his arms actually look better in this form than they did in Koomgang.
They do, and the sky's the limit for his volume. He has nice, long, lean character to his body structure. So it's a really open door for him to keep improving his volume. We start off with a 6.5 for Koomgang, and now for Chojung, as everybody's doing a little bit of a bump. So that's got to feel great. It's 6.57 for the second form. Finishes up with a 6.535. And up next, we have Ethan Lam. He's from Kwang Trung Martial Arts Institute in Georgia.
And Ethan, it looks like this is his first year in this division. He's still 17 years old, so just entering this 18 to 30-year-old division.
This looks like a really nice training place. It's very intimate. The walls are, not right on top of him, but close enough where he can get his bearings going from side to side and front to back.
Yeah, I think for individual, it's enough space, but those 4 poles there could make it hard if you're doing team or pairs or sparring.
More sparring, yeah.
You just get really aware of your surroundings.
Or you don't think about them, but you get very tough when it's
Like I mentioned, Coach Brand, this is Ethan's first time in the Senior 1 division, but he did compete in a Grand Slam last year as a junior where he made it to the finals. So let's see, it's always a big jump to go from juniors into the seniors. 18 to 30 is a big age group and they get very strong in that division. But he opens here with a 7.2, which is the highest score so far.
Right, and he was able to take some of those points with him to this level. So from the junior division up to the senior division, the athletes get to bring 50% of their points with them.
That's right. And so you might be wondering, like, hey, I thought I had more points. What is this order? Because we have international athletes in this division, the order was randomized. But whatever the order is for the top 8 half of this flight, it will, I think, go into the semis. Is that correct, Coach Brand, or is it randomized? Since there's
random. I think we're random in the semis as well.
Right, because there's 2 flights. We're all learning.
Yes.
He's doing a really great job. He's so clean. That hand stayed in line on that kick. Very clean and nice and crisp, too.
It's his posture that really sets him apart. Looks nice, upright, vertical, and all those different areas of the form. So he gets a 7.3. So a jump for him as well, and a significant one. So So Ethan Lamb will finish at 7.270. Up next, we have Benjamin Hellegaard Harder from Denmark, our first international athlete of the division.
Wow, he is so strong. Wow.
Yeah. His finishes are not playing. He is coming with some heat. Little rotated, over-rotated on that punch, that elbow a little bit higher than the fist, but really trying to throw some big power into it.
Yeah, you know, I've been watching a lot of these European tournaments, the Lens tournament, the Jake Calico UK. The European style to me seems at least a little bit stronger, more power, focused kind of on accuracy, but not necessarily as smooth rhythm-wise as some of the US athletes will go for. And I'm definitely seeing kind of that style influencing Poomsae. And, you know, he's done very well. He did the US Open in 2020, which was in person in Florida, where he got a bronze in this division. So he's 28 years old, I'm just seeing here. So he has a lot of power coming through.
Yeah, super aggressive. I love it. That very assertive nature, like, I'm not going to just take it easy on Poomsae and hope I don't fall over, or that I hold on to those Hakdadi stances. I'm going to really go for it. That was fun to watch. He gets a 6.77, so the accuracy hits got him because he got a 2.7, but look at that presentation, well over 4. So
Let's see, and it is always interesting to see what the judges think of different styles. And this is quite a different style than the American athletes we saw earlier.
Right, and you and me as athletes and coaches, we're admiring that fierceness in his performance, just going for it. We always like to see athletes go down this road, see what happens.
Right, you just got to go for it. And I enjoy this style. I do think with the amount of power that he's putting in, it is hitting his accuracy a little bit. So we did see it drop a couple of tenths lower than the other athletes. But, you know, once he reins this in a little bit for our style, or these judges at least, I think he could do really, really well. A couple heel pops there on those kicks might be a couple reductions. But I liked this style. I enjoyed it.
Very, very sharp. So first one, he got 6.77, and this one, 7.00. Probably one of the biggest gaps from the first Poomsae to the second in this division. So he ends up with 6.885. I think puts him in about, fourth right now. So we have Ethan Lamb starting off in first, followed by Daniel Lee, Hansuk Lee, and Benjamin Harder. Up next, we have Julian Chang. And Julian is from California. He trains with Mock Martial Arts and the Team M community program. It's nice to see him being super safe there, wearing his mask in that small area. And I'm sure that referees are now used to this, right, Miyako? Maybe the first time around, Summer Poomsae or something, it seemed like it was quite, odd. And then now it's just like an everyday type of look. And I'm sure the referees are just putting that to the side as they're judging this.
Right, as long as you can see the direction of the eyes, which is important for scoring. So here his hair's a little bit long, but we can still see kind of the direction he's looking. And as long as we can hear the yells, it's totally fine to have your face covered with a mask. And of course, being safe is the most important thing right now. So. Oh, it's falling a little bit.
You just got to hold on for one more turn and one more spin. Well, if it flies off at the end with that spin, that would be pretty great.
It would be dramatic.
Yeah. It would really show his speed. Good job. I really like that space, his training space too, completely full of mat. He gets a 6.9.
Yeah, I think this is the M Team garage. It's just a different angle than the one that we normally get we can see their banners up on the walls.
Yeah, this look is a little bit different from this perspective. I think it looks very clean from here. Not a lot in the background, so we really get to appreciate his movement better.
Right, a little bit of a lower angle, so we're looking up at him a little bit, which will maybe help his kicks, look higher, but he also has to stay very grounded and clean in these stances because at least the eye level goes kind of to the belt and below, so we really have to stay very clean on that lower half.
Working through it pretty good. He's got a heel pop in there on one of those transitions. Finishing up strong though.
하로. 셔.
Got to watch a little bit on the camera angle, right? It can help the perception of the kick height, but at the same time, it can be a little distracting for the referees as well because it throws everything off just a little bit to the eye. And Julian ends up with the 6.930.
준비.
Up next, we have William Shin from Kim's Cave Taekwondo in Georgia.
시작.
William Shin here. We saw a teammate earlier out of Georgia, out of this Dojang Team K. He is a little bit shorter than his teammates, but always scores very well. He's competed in, our online tournaments here with USA Taekwondo. Did Summer of Poomsae. I think in this division, I remember him being in Senior 1, even though he's still 18 right now. And he, I think, got 3rd place in the Summer of Poomsae.
And I think also competed in Grand Slam, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So.
Also interesting, these two forms, of course, randomly chosen, Kumgong and Chiljong. We have front kicks in Chiljong and some crescent kicks, but no side kicks, no round kicks. So it really opens up. This prelim is all about being grounded, showing good, clean stances, accuracy, volume of motion on the hands.
And he gets a 6.77 on the first Poomsae, which is about the 4th highest score in the division for that form. I can
Not the same
almost
score as Benjamin from Denmark, but totally different styles.
Right. I can almost not see his eyes.
Yeah, we have some extended hair in this division so far.
And I think the video, the video quality too, just kind of blends everything sometimes. So we need to be aware of that.
I'm seeing a few athletes there on that top bar that we just saw. When you go into the punch with your hands and the knee comes up, that base leg is not locking. So you have to be standing up pretty tall, locking out that bottom leg, even if you're leaning forward just a little bit. I think as these athletes are trying to push forward, push the tempo, that base leg is bending, heel is coming up. So just be aware of that right at the top. Wow.
Yeah, 7.2. I think the 2nd highest score for that Poomsae.
Yeah.
And ends up with a 6.985.
준비.
Right around 4th, I think, right? This is Churuk Oh,
시작.
and he's from TS Taekwondo in South Korea. Is that right?
That's right. He's one of our international athletes for this tournament.
He stayed nice and low. From that back stance to the Hakdari Sogi, stayed nice and low. He's got a nice, for the most part, low posture in the Juchim Sogi as he's going across.
Yeah, it's great to have some international competitors here. We can see different styles, Denmark, US, now South Korea. Nice knees open on those horse stances, but the spin not quite smooth. That one is better. And another one of the online tournaments that's gotten a lot of international athletes is the Lentz sisters from Europe. And they've had 3 tournaments now. And Turok here competed in the first Lentz tournament where he got a bronze medal. He's 26, so well into the senior 1 division and very strong.
And from the front, that Jichum show you looking nice. Nice, wide, open, low stance.
And he is opening up this division here with the scores. Wow.
Yeah, big jump over Ethan Lamb, who I think was maybe the highest at a 7.2. And William Shin as well, right?
That's right.
So here with Chojung, this is going to be exciting.
Yeah, William Shin had that 7.2 on the second form. But if he can continue to get a similar score here on 7, which we have seen the scores go up from Kumgang, he will solidly put himself into first place. But we're only about halfway through this flight, and again, we're taking the top 8 scores of this flight into the semis.
He has a lot of power and is a very clean finish on every single thing. Doesn't throw him off balance at all. Just really smooth on the finish. Ends up with a 7.46 for Chojung. And 7.445 for the round. This is Sean Lee from Just Taekwondo in California.
시작.
So here we have a totally clean background, no lines really. We can't tell if he goes up and down too much. Probably helps him from the referee point of view. But we can still look at the angle of the knees on those stances to try and see.
Yeah, I look at the electric outlet in the back and try to see the height based on that. So this side, he's a little bit lower on than the first Hakdari Sogi, a little bit more knee bend, so very nice.
And what a great space this is. That's a 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Right.
It's a great amount of space there. Somebody's house, maybe.
I don't know, I wonder, looks like it. And this is the same one, I think, that was used for the Grand Slam. Ooh, wait, hold on.
We're so close. You can do it.
Yeah, just a little bit to the right. His body wanted to push outward. Way to hang on to it. And sometimes with this recording, you just take the best one, right? Like you're not going to say it's perfect, but on that given day or that given weekend or that given whole week, if you're recording all week, that was it. That was the best one. Got to take it. Or maybe in this case, this was the best Chojung. So he's willing to sacrifice a little bit on the score of Kumgang to get this really good Chojung.
Right, there's so much strategy that goes into these video recordings now, especially that we've been doing this for about a year. You know, the lighting, the time of day, can you see the light through the window? I mean, there's so many things that go into it because you want to present the best cake, but sometimes you can overdo it, and then your body gets really tired, and so you just have to take the best run that you get. But I do think you're probably right. This looks like a good Chojung run from him, so he might have just taken that Kumgang.
Right, no off balancing movements. You say that's clean. That's as good as my Chojung's going to get this year. So let's go with this one, and I'll pay a little bit for that little tiny blip on Kumgang. So he gets a 6.84. And finishes with a 6.77. So up next, we have Ethan Sun out of Eagle Taekwondo in California.
시작.
So Ethan, one of the stronger athletes for this division. I think I really remember his power when I think about the senior one male division, compared to, say, his teammates who have maybe a smoother volume of motion, Alex Lee, for example. So I think this will be a nice example of a really low, grounded, strong Kumgang, and we'll see if he can climb up there to compete with our South Korean friend Chung Ru Oh from, he got that 7.43 on Kumgang.
Yeah, Ethan's probably going to try to go for nice, low, wide stances here through the center.
Being a little cautious there, that was one of the slower pickups, I think, from him.
Yeah, a little safe.
But this is the prelims, and especially with 2 flights and having it be randomized into the semis, the order isn't as important. So you want to have a good, clean run, maybe. That was just the choice for this round.
Good. Hey, there's nothing wrong with being safe. You get a nice, clean performance with that 7.5. And honestly, I know that Ethan could put a little bit more width into those stances and a little bit more speed, but look at that. He gets a huge score.
시작.
The highest score in the group, right? 7.5. Yeah,
Absolutely.
really good.
And staying low through those transitions.
I think this is the first US tournament, online tournament, that he hasn't been facing his teammate and Alex Lee, right?
I think that's true, yeah. Oh, so I love this, Barb. Watch the tempo and length.
The length of these front stances are different, right, than some of the other athletes who are really shortening it up. That first one on the screen left, that was a really nice, clean, long front stance.
바로.
And I think that matters, especially because of his height. He's not a super tall person, but he's really spreading out the stance.
차렷.
Yeah, I think that's just a consequence of so many of us training in our homes, in the kitchen space, you know, wherever you're training, you have to shorten it up to fit in these spaces. And a big score again from Ethan on children.
But this is going to be close. So he beat the 7.420. So now just behind Churuk Oh of Korea.
준비.
This is Jeremy Sup from CW Taekwondo at Boston, coached by our national coach, Dan Chuang.
This is Jeremy's second year in the division. He just aged up last year. And I know he's really enjoying training and competing with some of his teammates in the male team division. But of course, US Open, we just have individuals. So we're really focusing on building up your own kicks, you know, everything to really focus on the individual style for this tournament. And he did make it to the finals in the Grand Slam, I think, last year.
Here in on the West Coast, we're only able to train together outdoors. How about for you out on the East Coast?
When the cases were going up, we were all at home, and it's too cold, of course, here in the East Coast to be outside, so we were totally separated. So we haven't been in person for more than about a week, maybe, and there's maybe 6 people, 8 people most in the space, fully masked, ventilators, you know, clearing the air, ventilators, purifiers.
So that probably started after he recorded, though, you think? He was still training by himself?
Yeah, so this was probably coming in just to do the recording by
Yeah.
himself.
So you get to 6.8 on that first form.
시작.
So after Jeremy, I think we'll see those rankings again. It comes up about every 6 athletes, and then we'll get to see an idea of what the cutoff is going to be. I'm not quite sure here. We have a couple of 7s, about 5 7s or so as a combined score, but we still have a couple athletes left. Staying really grounded here, pushing the stance length. liked his 7 more than the Kumgang. I think he was able to show a little bit more flow in the hands, looked grounded.
그냥
Right, as he gets a little bit more familiar and just relaxing a little bit more, some key points, I think it will really help his score. So he got a 6.8 for the first one and 6.9 for the second. So he finishes with a 6.85. And here are the standings that you mentioned. We have Churuk Oh from Korean first, followed by Ethan Sun just behind him. And then Ethan Lam, Daniel Lee, Hyunsuk Lee, William Shin, Julian Chang, and Benjamin Harder.
So that cutoff right now is 6.885, and we have 3 athletes left.
준비.
And this is Christopher Pravartana from California in that same space that we just saw Sean in a couple of athletes ago. We're really trying to hold on to that lower knee position.
Christopher's been competing on a lot of online tournaments. Like I mentioned, there's a bunch in Europe. So he competed in a Germany Open Poomsae Championships in February, where he won in this division. Also competed in the JCalico UK in January. So he's doing a lot, even recently. I think it's good to get out there, get feedback from different referees. He's so tall.
Well, that second and third Haktari Sogi, much more balanced when he's on his left leg, or maybe that was just a fluky one to start off with when he switched from that back stance to that one. Then again, here, sometimes a little bit of trouble on that right knee, wanting to shift inward on him.
Yeah, it is giving a little weird angle. Just make sure to push that right knee out especially.
And he opens up with a 6.7.
So that's going to be right there on the cutoff for the semis again right now. It's a 6.885. But here we go with Childong. Look at those front kicks, really able to show off his height and flexibility.
Right, really nice height to start off the form. And good timing here on this midline. But I think this line here is really where you can differentiate yourself. Really showing clean lines up here, close to the camera, close to the judges.
All right, let's see if he can boost his score up here.
Yes, it's Chris Pravartana from California. So you got a 6.7 on the first one. And I think maybe, yeah,
Wow, yeah.
much higher, 7.23 on the next. What a huge jump that is. He ends up with 6.965. He's probably jumping for joy right now because that puts him a little closer. So this is Charleston Sia. And Charleston is from New York and trains under his coach, Andrew O.
And if you're looking at those scores, there are 5 judges. We are dropping the high and the low. It's not crossed out, but you can, if you're doing calculations for yourself, drop the high and the low, average the middle 3 is how you get the accuracy and the presentation points.
So we saw this space a little bit earlier with his teammate Hyunsuk Lee. Looks like a festive dojang.
Right, I love the balloons. I don't know what the occasion was, but, you know, balloons for US Open recording.
Of course.
I think he could open up his horse stances a little bit. They look a little shallow for his height. That last crane stance always needs so much attention. I feel like I'm so tired by the end. And that leg just doesn't want to hold the balance. I feel like we see the most wiggles on that last crane stance, but held on to it and finished nice and strong.
It says 6.9.
Stop.
Yeah, I think in general for Christopher, just a little lower in the stances. Just bring those hips down a bit.
바로.
Yeah, hands are good, good power, good twist, click.
Stop.
Just a little bit grounded, a little bit more open on those stances, I think will help. He got a good score in Poomsae though, so let's see
He
for
did.
Cheongdong.
Yeah, he did, and I'm being picky. He got a 6.97, so a little higher here. And ends up with a 6.935.
준비.
This is Casey Liu, also from California.
시작.
And both of those last two scores were above that cutoff, so our semi cutoff is going up probably in the 6.9s now, we're not sure, but Casey is the last competitor for this flight. So after he's done with his two, we'll be able to see which 8 athletes will move on to the semis. And Casey had some really smooth, quick spins there. Looking very calm.
Yeah, he really does, huh? He looks very relaxed.
Really steady on those crane stances too.
His timing really interesting. No rushing, no tightness. That's great. Really good balance.
바로.
Oh, push the knees out there at the end. He's like, I'm going to give you a nice wide stance for the last shot.
6.86 for Casey Liu.
So quite a range of scores here for Kumgang, from 6.5 maybe all the way up to a 7.5.
Yeah, that's big. Sometimes we see them all stacked on each other, big clumps of them, and not so much here.
Just stayed in screen there, I think, on that left side for us viewing. He's very clean and has really nice hands,
바로.
but I'm not sure that the power is quite coming through. We did see the scores just a little bit lower. He's going to be
Hello.
right on the cutoff here for the semis.
Yeah, good balance, good timing. Ends
Oh,
up with a 7.3 for Cheongdong. He's not an athlete to be rushed. He'll do it when he feels very comfortable shifting his weight. Ends up with a 7.080. So now we can see the standings here. And first, Turok Oh from Korea, and then Ethan Sun, Ethan Lam, Daniel Lee, Casey Liu, Hyunsuk Lee, William Shin, and Christopher Paratana all move on to the semifinal round from this flight.
So So that last score there was a 6.965 to get into the semis.
We'll continue with the under 40 division, the first flight.
준비.
And this is Viet Nguyen from Boston.
시작.
So again, they will do 2 forms, and we have 2 flights for the males. I think this is the first time the senior 2 has been in a prelims, actually, for the men. So we have 11 men in this round. We'll take 6 into the semis. First form here, Paul Jong.
Very vertical here on these Poomsaes.
Yeah, torso looking really good. I think he could bend his knees in those stances just a little bit, keep working on the front kick height. But overall, I feel like it was very calm and good torso, good hand techniques, and gets a good score here of 7.17.
Yeah, really good one to start off with.
시작.
And off to Pyongwon.
What a fun prelim round.
Yes. Oh, really nice height off that side kick. My goodness.
Yeah, his side kick might be higher than his front kick, actually.
Oh,
Very nice.
good pow.
He's looking very comfortable here with Pyongwon.
Yeah, maybe drop down a little bit longer, a little bit lower on those stances, but good job on that kicking technique of Pyongwon.
Yeah, that was really great. I know he's been working hard, working from home, training in our space. So a little bit of a drop here on the second form. I think we might see that Pyongwon difficult form, but could go either way since it is pretty short form.
And finishes with a 7.035. So up next we
Good
have
job, Viet. Sorry.
Justin Ramundo from Kansas. Came from Co-Martial Arts. Look at this big space. This is great.
So these 8 counts, we do want to see some hip torso rotation here throughout rather than just the arms. Something to work on. Nice high front kick.
Yeah, very nice front kick. That one dipping a little bit with that support leg bending. That one too. So judges get a couple different looks at it, right? From the front and from the profile.
Yeah, he's definitely getting good height, clearing his shoulders. But then on the side angles, we are seeing the base leg caving a little bit, heel might be popping up. So really work on trying to keep the torso nice and straight, base leg locked, hands on the body for those front kicks, but keep that height as much as possible. And a good score here, 7.07.
Whoa, look at that. These guys. Wow.
Yeah. We shouldn't be surprised, Coach Brand. They're obviously crushing it.
But I'm just looking at his body type, and he's really kicking at the extreme height for that on that first one, that left, the side kick. It was great.
I think we could open up these horse stances a little bit, make sure they're parallel.
He has a lot
But
of
yeah,
potential. He's got a lot of potential for power. He's just throwing it through the whole technique rather than at the right moment of the technique. So he might be expending more energy than he needs to. So he gets a 7.240. Nice jump for that second form, especially with Pyongwon. I mean, Going from Paul Jung to Pyongwan, getting higher score. Nice, 7.155. Up next, we have Kyle Cardell from Quest Taekwondo Academy.
I don't think I remember Kyle from any of our previous tournaments. I don't have the ranking points in front of me at the moment, but I don't recognize this face.
I was going to ask you because I don't recognize Kyle. It looks like he has some really good flexibility on his the front kicks coming forward. They were nice and high and fast. So that's a really good thing to launch from.
Yeah, and I think as he just works on these transitions a little bit, make sure we're pivoting on the ball of the foot, keep those front stances a little bit thinner, especially coming towards the camera. It should only be 1 foot width, so about a fifth width apart. That will really help his accuracy go up.
Yeah, although he gets a 2.53 on accuracy, his presentation fairly close to fourth, 3.97. So that's a good start for him in his first online tournament.
Yeah, and he says that he works as a chiropractor and has 2 small children that keep him very busy. So I'm glad that he took some time for himself here to compete in this tournament.
Maybe a little bit more extension, right? A little bit more flow, and then extend those hand techniques a little bit more. Many of them are ending close to the correct spot. So just maybe a little bit more volume to get there.
Yeah, especially on video, we want to take up as much space in the frame as you can. So just kind of a bigger volume of motion in some of those techniques, as well as on the stances. He's tall, long limbs. He could really make those front stances a little bit longer. But a lot of good things here to work with.
And he ends there with a 6.04 Pyongwan. A tough form, Pyongwan. So really good job on holding on to that second side kick, that second side, the right one. So he ends up with a 6.250. And here's David Chan from Boston.
시작.
Dave, of course, was on the national team in 2020 in pairs, senior 2 pairs with his wife, Carissa Fu. And he made it into the finals in the Grand Slam.
I think he was also on our Pan Am team as well.
He
right?
was, yes.
So he's got a lot of good international experience, showing it here, his posture, very proud and confident as he's moving through the form.
Yeah, such a good upright torso, not caving on these kicks.
Good save on that kick recovery there.
도로.
Nice long lines there on the last bar.
Oh, that 7.67, knocked it out of the park.
Dave Chan.
What next?
All right, so Pyongwan, we're going to get some side kicks here. This is such a hard form kick-wise. This reverse kind of turning side kick, you do it on both sides, side kick from crane stance. So I think it's a really great, opener in the prelim. Senior 1 males had Kumgong, and Senior 2 at Pyongwan.
Nice reach on that first pair there, that left side kick, whipping right up, and now this right one as well.
Yeah, flexibility really coming through, taking a quicker tempo than our first couple athletes.
A little bit more upright on some of those stances.
샷.
Very nice. Go, Dave.
So David got a 7.67. Oh, look at this. And on the second one, same, 7.67. So help me out with the math, Miyako, here. What's the total?
Carry the 2 plus 7.67.
So here we have Long Win from California, from the Team MT.
And all three of the brothers are competing, but because we have two flights, his brothers On and Hui will be in the second flight. I was like, which twin?
I really like this space, less distraction here from this angle. Looks very clean. Very nice hand techniques through the form. Very good timing.
Yeah, he's looking really great. I think he took a few years off at the end of senior one, aged up, I think, last year into senior two, and just coming out really strong here in this division.
And just under David, so he gets a 7.630 for Paul John.
And those lines in the garage door really help us tell if he's staying even right on eye line.
Right. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right eye kick there. Looks like he feels a little bit more comfortable on the right than the left.
Very clean. Nice run. Maybe a little bit off from where he started. I can't remember.
A little bit to his right from that starting point in the center of the space.
I do that too.
But it was a good run, so you go with it, right? So you got a 7.7, the best score so far in any Poomsae in this round. So it's going to be close here at 7.695, just under David Chan. But of course, this is a preliminary round, so we're just trying to get to that top group going into the semifinal. So this is Shay Tippins here.
And
Shay, I think from North Carolina.
Yeah. Also very tall in this division, coming up right close to the camera, which I appreciate. So we can really get a good look. Looking for those hips to rotate. There we go.
The lighting is really nice too. I don't know if that's just by happenstance or it was planned, but the lighting really makes it easy for us to see him.
Yeah, I'm hypersensitive about the the frame. That front kick he did, his toes might have just gone out of the camera, so I'm gonna look and see if the judges took a deduction or not. Because when I recorded my forms, I was definitely right on the edge. So.
Well, also told many times though that the referees see it on a slightly different, different platform.
That's true too. Yes.
So oftentimes we'll think there'll be a deduction, but there won't be, and we're like, wait a minute, how is that fair? Well, they saw it a little bit differently on their end. That's how. So you had a 7.37.
So most of our scores here for this division in the sevens.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising, actually. Would have thought them to be hovering around maybe the high sixes this round.
Right, difficult form Kyungwon here, but totally different styles here. So Shay's taking a more cautious approach, really taking his time, being clean and accurate, going for a side kick height that he can really control. Nice big arm motions.
Little high on the horse stances, but yeah, he knows exactly where his comfort zone is for the side kicks.
Mm-hmm. Nice job, Shay.
You know, the kicking target does need to be the face on those techniques, right, Miyako?
Yeah, I think above the shoulders, that's the rule, right? In the head space. But doesn't look like he took too many deductions there because the 7.2 is a good score.
So here are standings so far. We have Long Huynh in first.
준비.
We have Brenton
Suja?
Blazek, what a great name, from Houston at the Houston Center for Taekwondo.
And Brenton is from Texas. He's competed at the Austin Taekwondo Friendship Games back in 2018. Seems so long ago when we were in in-person tournaments. He also competed in Texas state championships and has placed in those events. So great to see him now stepping up into the US Open division here and repping his state.
And Brenton gets a 6.67. There are a lot of front stance in that form,
그래.
and he might have been dinged a little bit for that back leg in the front stance. It tended to dip
준비.
a little bit. So he's just got to lock that back leg out by not pushing that hip so
시작.
far downward. So he'll be caught a little bit less in Pyongyang for that if that happens again. Ooh, look at that. Very flexible as well. Wow. Nice height.
Yeah, his legs are flying up with a lot of ease. I think you just want to be careful of the foot position, both the kicking foot and the base leg, so that we fully pivot, lock out the base. That one looks better.
Tons of
Hello.
potential from Brandon here. Brandon Blazek from the Houston Center for Taekwondo. And it's a 6.8, so he jumps up quite a bit on the second form. It's a 6.735. This is Mohammed Al Abbas. And he's from the Al Tarahi Club in Saudi Arabia.
Great, another one of our international athletes here. Nice long stance here.
Really strong.
And he trains in sand, Coach Brand. He's competed in beach championships. So I really think that helps when you're on mats, because transitions in sand are so hard. So then once you get into regular mats, it's almost like super easy. So he is moving through these transitions really clean.
Yeah, very aggressive. It's kind of what the athlete from Denmark was trying to go for in the earlier division.
Right. And not only does he compete in beach poomsae, Coach Brand, he won a gold medal in beach poomsae.
Oh, wow. He gets a 7.6. So right up there with, close to anyway, with Long Huynh and David Chen. .6. These guys are getting huge scores.
Yeah, there's quite a range here. It's going to be tight. Again, we have 11 athletes in this flight. So taking the top 6, and wow, an aggressive pace here on Kyungwon.
A couple little goofy things with the hand techniques right in there. That first knife hand block on the first side of this, a little bit low and off. But wow, really good aggression through this form. Really
Yeah, we
trying
might see a couple of things on the accuracy, but the presentation, I'm going to look for. It's a different take, again, different style, but I like kind of the power and the different tempo.
Yes, let's see what these refs like.
Oh, they liked it.
Look at that. So a little bit of, wow, 4.63 on presentation.
That is huge. That is huge.
Ends up with a 7.750. So
Amazing.
these
준비
judges, and some of them are international referees, right? Not from US, Miyako.
시작.
Yeah, we have some refs, I think all North America, but it looks like Canada and Mexico.
This is Hee Yu from US for the Bohyun Kim team.
A couple of these hand techniques are dropping a little bit low. So that one, we saw the block scoop down below the belt. And he's wearing his belt low already, so we don't want any of those hand techniques to scoop below the belt.
Yeah, he's really going for a lot of power though on these techniques. That's what he's trying to highlight there. At least that's what it looks like. He gets a 7.6. And wow, we have had 4.76 scores or higher in this division. That is pretty amazing.
Yeah,
시작.
it's going to be a hard cutoff here. Top 6 scores into the semis.
Yeah, that'd be something, huh? If you had to get a 7.6 to get into
Right?
the semi.
And these senior 2 guys are like, come on, senior 1. That cutoff was like a 6.9, and the senior 2 guys are going to be 7.6.
That first side kick was just gorgeous off that left leg.
Wow. Yeah, side kicks are definitely the highlight for me on this form.
See this one. Boom. Okay. This is going to be a high score. Just the question is how high.
시작.
We thought, David Chan was, pretty safe up there. Maybe, take the whole thing with a 7.67. That's a great score. But look at this, 7.87. So just under our last competitor, Mohammed's score.
Holy cow, somebody gave him a 5.1 on presentation.
Well, I need to roll that tick back
Wow.
and see what just happened there. Is that a 7.735?
I missed the end, I got a 7.7.
Okay.
We'll go with your score.
So this is Ho Chul Ji from Basok University in South Korea.
Very interesting. So, Ho Chul Ji is from South Korea, but he was the coach for the Vietnamese Poomsae national team at the 2018 Asian Taekwondo Championships. And he also won first place in this division in the first length Taekwondo online Poomsae Open. So coach, athlete, lots of experience here.
And 7.8, the highest score in this division. Wow.
Also, it looks like 32 years old, so pretty young for the division. 31 to 40 is this senior 2 division. Long stances.
Nice. Clean. Wow. Sharp movement.
Yeah, really wide. I really like his stances. Wow. Went onto the blade a little bit on that back stance, but held on to it, staying low. Really nice.
Wow. Just off the mark both times and nobody cares. 7.93.
5.2! I can't get over these presentation scores. Holy cow! Holy cow!
7.865. And that is the high score. This is Dong Nyuk Kong from Ihwa. I'm not sure where this club is. I'm not sure if you have any information on this one, Miyako. I know we've seen this club before. So I think we saw this club at the Grand Slam. I'm not sure where it's located.
I like the world map there on the wall. Nice straight punch. We talk a lot about making sure the hand techniques really come to center line on video. He did a good job with that.
Yeah, especially when you're facing the camera. You really can't swing those right or left and not be noticed. You're really taking his time on this one, making sure he's putting every stance exactly where he wants it before finishing the hand technique at the same time. So he is very careful. He gets a 6.87.
He had some nice wide stances, these horse stances, back stances. We are getting a little bit of wiggling in the knees though, so just want to make sure it's really clean as you're going for that kind of grounded look.
Some of his timing looked more athletic once he let himself go. A couple of those turns, it looked like it was really natural for him. So he gets a higher score there, the 6.97. And finishing with a 6.920. So here are our standings for this round. We have Ho-Choo Ji in first place, followed by Muhammad Abbas, PJ Long Quinn, David Chan, Shay Tippins, Justin Ramundo, and Viet Nguyen. Man, that was pretty exciting. We also had Dong Yak Kong in the division, Brenton Blazek, and Kyle Cardell. We're going to move on to the male under 30 second flight with George Chen.
That's right. So we have 2 flights for both of these categories, Senior 1 male and Senior 2 male. So we're going to have the second flight now of Senior 1 male, and then we'll have the second flight of the Senior 2 male. So just as a reminder, the Senior 1 division is going to do Kumgong, followed by Chiljong.
Right, to start us off again, this is George Chen from New York.
And we have, I think, 15 athletes maybe in this division, 15 or 16. So again, we'll take the top 8.
Right, looks like we have 15 total.
15.
Yeah. Pretty nice and easy on his transitions here.
바로
Yep, nice quick spins. Nice fresh haircut.
Wow, look at this score.
Wow.
Oh my goodness, 7.830. Now, where does that fall in with that first flight?
샵
But George here is setting a nice high bar for this division. Again, at 7.83 is a big score for Kumgong especially. All right, so we got a 7.6 here for Chiljong. And and a combined score of 7.715.
준비. 시작.
So here we have Dongjin Kim from Junli Taekwondo.
And Dongjin is from South Korea, 29 years old, so on the upper age part of this division. He says that he hasn't competed for the last 2 years, and he competed in the 2012 US Open,
Oh, wow.
where he got a silver medal in this division. So he's been in this division about the same amount of time as I have. And I'm sure that he's ready to move on to senior two.
Well, welcome back. Welcome back to competition. That's exciting.
It is. It's always good to get back out there, see how you stack up. And what a great way to do it. I think US Open online, you can do your recordings at home as many times as you want to within that week. And then just submit your
바로.
best take.
Oh, nice score, 7.37.
시작.
Nice big volume of motion on these hand techniques.
바로.
Good, very clean, good hand techniques. He clearly knows these forms. He said it's been a couple of years since competing, but I think did a really good job of working on the style to make it current. Gets a nice big jump here on the second form.
Yeah, the same score as George Chen right before him, 7.6. He'll come in a little bit lower though at the 7.485. This is Young Song Yu. Is that correct, Miyako?
Yes. And how great. I'm not sure what state he's from, but he's doing it outside, which is my favorite part of these online tournaments, is getting to see people do their poomsae in different spaces than a dojang.
준비.
Here's Andrew Hurd from CW Taekwondo in Boston.
And I think Andrew got a bronze at the Grand Slam back in November in individual. So great to see him getting, I think, his first medal in this division. Graduated from college, I think last year, and really been just working on both freestyle and traditional during quarantine. And his power is just crazy. I actually got to see him in person a week or two ago, and the amount of power that he produces is absolutely incredible. Pretty clean transitions there, holding on here to this last crane stance.
바로.
Knees caved in just a little bit there on that last horse stance, but overall, really nice, and a 7.8 for Kunga.
준비. 시작.
Nice quick tempo here on these hand techniques. Big jump there. I think I saw Eagles do that in the Grand Slam, and I've been trying it out ever since. Looks like Andrew did too.
How's it going?
You know, it's hard. You got to keep that face leg locked. Don't let the heel come up, but still like lean into it. Interesting. All right, so Andrew got a 7.8 on the first form, and here down just a little bit to a 7.7 on the second.
So it ends up
준비.
with 7.75, and here we have Luke Raw.
시작.
And Luke Raw, sister of Haley Raw, who we've seen at numerous tournaments. He's just aging up here into the Senior 1 division. He's still 17 years old, so turning 18 this year. And I think, I could be wrong because I'm getting my information from TikTok, so who knows. But I think he's a freestyle tricker.
He's a what?
A freestyle, like he does tricking.
Oh, right.
I think he just needs to relax, soften up those arms, and his shoulders look so tense here in these crane stances.
I'm sure he does not. I'm sure he does not appreciate you saying that. He just needs to relax. There you go. Like you turn and then you try to sit into it, which is like gambling for sure. It's like, are you going to be able to hold on to that? Whew, big sigh of relief. Justin Raw finishing up Kungang. Had some high scores all through here now, 7.33 for Justin for Kungang.
시작.
Yeah, we need just a little bit more shoulder movement here on some of these hand techniques, but that clean base on his stances will help him in the future. Gotta watch those heel pops though.
바로
He gets a 7.14. Finishing with a 7.235.
준비
This is Brandon Cho from Eagle Taekwondo in California.
시작
This is also Brandon's first year into this division. It's always fun at the beginning of the year to see who's aging up. And I know we have a couple exciting new players here in the Senior 1 division, including Brandon and just a couple athletes down the list, his teammate Ryan, who did really great in the junior division. So let's see now how the Senior 1 group ends up. Brandon got a bronze medal in the junior individual at the Summer of Poomsae. And he also competed in the 2019 Pan Am Championships in the junior team where he got first place. So lots of international experience here, now aging up into the senior world.
Can you imagine starting as a cadet with somebody in your division and staying with them for the next 6 decades? Cool.
I remember being in Senior 1 and working with Christina Castillo. She was a cadet when I was in Senior 1 in Texas for grad school.
Hello.
And then she became a junior and I was still in Senior 1. And then she became a senior and I was still in Senior 1. That division is so many years.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Look at that, 8.0 for Brandon Cho. Oh, congratulations, Brandon. Good job.
I've got 2 5s, Coach Brand. Holy cow.
So rare.
I need these referees to be like my height people in real life. Can you imagine? Like,
That's
just for everything I do, I need them.
Sure. Well, we saw some really good scores in that first flight, but nothing like this, right? So maybe the referees changed out and now we have a new group. Boy, they're scoring high in this group. We got a couple 7.8s and now this 8.0 for Brandon. I know.
Yeah,
he's
you know,
still-
he does look great. He's
Yeah,
just-
he really does. A little short on that last front stance, but in general, really sharp, very clean movement throughout his Poomsae. I know he's hoping that he gets these same scores going through the semi-final.
Yeah. It's our first 8,
Sure.
I think.
정리
I think it is.
Yes, it is. Oh, definitely it is. This is just day 1. We already hit our 8. 7.97. He's like, really? That was so close. Just give me
2
an.
more 5s. Wow.
That is crazy. 7.985. And here are our standings so far with the Brandon way in first, followed by Andrew, George, Dongji Kim, Luke Ra, and Yang Sang Mu.
준비
Up next, we have
시작.
Sanjay Kandari from Evolution Martial Arts.
That opening line of Kumgang is so critical. It's interesting, you know, you can take a slightly quicker approach on the first part coming forward because it's all attacks, it's all offense. And then some athletes will take a slightly slower approach on the blocks going backwards because it's defense. But you have to be careful of the stances, especially going backwards, that your feet don't open out wide as you turn the body, but draw those feet straight back. So I think that's one thing that Sanjay can work on, is that first bar, cleaning it up just a little bit.
Yeah, that first line is super important, mainly the stance height. for me, because you have to be able to make that stance height through those first 7 movements on that front line, and then continuing onto that horse stance when you go onto that second line. So whatever height you pick on that first stance dictates everything else. You need to be super careful and aware that it's not some random step forward. And he gets a 6.6 on Kumgang.
시작.
Need to be a little careful on some of these hand techniques. So that first push block there should have been stomach, solar plexus level, and then the back that comes up to head height. Some of these blocks are above the shoulders. So a couple accuracy dings that I think we're going to take, but clearly knows the form's going through it. Just need to clean up a few hand techniques.
Yeah, he's really clear on the line of direction, right? Where he needs to go, what the technique is in general. Now it's a little bit of polishing, making sure those techniques end up in the right spot. So the first thing happened, same thing happened on his first form, where he got a few dings. I think he got like a 2.57 in accuracy, and this time a little higher with a 2.630. So he ends up with a 6.7 for this one, a bit higher than the first. So he'll end up with a 6.65. Next up, we have Brian Rial from Eagle Taekwondo in California.
시작.
So I'm sure everybody is anxiously waiting here to see how Ryan does in the Senior 1 division, just aging up, 17 years old, into this 18 to 30 division. So many accomplishments. I don't think I can even read all of them, but multiple time national team member, male MVP award, gold at the Pan Am Junior Championships just in 2019, and opening up here with a very solid, calm, confident Kumgang.
Yeah, most recently he was on our 2020 national team in the junior division. The cadet and juniors did not go to the online formal World Taekwondo Poomsae Championships, but there was an open event for the division, so he was able to compete there.
바로
We just saw his teammate Brandon Cho with that 8.0 on Kumgang. And here we go. Look at that.
Yeah, take that, Brandon.
A
Okay.
5.2.
Word. That third judge has been pretty consistently high throughout, and that's what we're looking for fairness. Just, whatever the judges are going to do, that they're just stay very consistent throughout their scoring. Well, really nice high kicking. In that first form, I really like the size of his Juchum Sogi, his horse stance, nice and clean for his body size. And in this one, starting off with these nice clean front kicks. See, this is the length I was talking about right here along this line. When you have this front stance nice and long and clean, it makes a difference.
Quick tempo.
바로
Bringing some of that junior speed into the senior division.
샷. 차렷. 경례.
So Brandon got a 7.97 on that second one, flirting again with that 8.0. And look at this, over the top with the 8.1. First time I think that we've seen this happen. Is this the first time we saw 8.1 in an online event from USA TKD?
It might be. I cannot remember an 8.1 in any of our online events.
Yeah,
So
we got really close, and the sister, of course, got, I think, the famous 8 in our first event. So he ends up with an 8.050. So here we have David Lee from Kim's K Taekwondo in Georgia.
and we saw his brother Daniel Lee. Actually, I'm not sure, but we saw his teammate, at least Daniel Lee, go in the first flight. And so now we have here David Lee from Team K. Just aging up, 17 years old right now.
Right. I think he can be a significant threat in this division. Very strong
Absolutely.
athlete, and he's done well in all of our online events during this past year.
Right, I'm reading his Taekwondo achievements from the past couple of years, and there's just a lot of gold. It's a lot of first places for David Lee, both in individual and in teams and pairs. 2020 Online World, Summer Poomsae, Grand Slam. So he is a well-accomplished athlete here moving into the senior division. A little bit of some weight shift issues there in some of those events, but overall really, really solid. Oh, geez, I'm sorry.
Whoa.
The referees thought it was amazing.
And there again, that 5.2 from that third judge. Wow. 8.14, so the high score so far in the division. In the Grand Slam, I thought he was particularly impressive with his power and just the overall presentation that he had. And look here, he's really going for it with the power here.
Yeah, his presence on the mat is just incredible for a 17-year-old. I can feel his presence, like he just is so confident. And this was a battle between David and Ryan in the junior division last year. Here we're going to have it again in the division.
As I mentioned earlier, we may see this battle continue for several decades.
That's right. Multiple. They can keep competing for their whole life.
8.2. Congratulations, David. Good job. I bet he's like bouncing off the walls right now.
Yeah,
As he's
I've been
singing
taking
around the house.
screenshots,
8.2.
pictures.
Woo. 8.17. This is Tyler D. Doff from the State University of New York at Cortland Taekwondo Club.
And USA Taekwondo, I believe, just went through some changes in the referee corps. So we have a new, leader of the referee team. And I think one of the things that I heard is that, the referees are just going to give the best score. If they think it's great, give the highest score. So we might start seeing some scores in the low to mid 8s if the judges really like it. And we're starting to see that here in international tournaments. The 6.5 might be the highest thing we see. But here in the U.S., these judges are going to reward good forms with high scores. So it'll be interesting to watch as the referee team develops this year as well.
And he starts at a 6.96. Right, so we have a new group of referees, a new chair, new group of vice chairs, all to help out with our referee training. And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, how this group evolves and how they get stronger over time with their new set of referee chairs really pitching in to help.
And I do just have to say here, I think this is the university gym. I see Cortland there up on the wall on the scoreboard. It's great to see collegiate athletes competing at the senior level nationally. There's a few collegiate leagues, ECTC, that I know Cortland is a part of. So great to see some of the athletes move on from that league, either having graduated or just knowing that there is, this other level outside of college, and then letting our junior divisions know that, hey, you can continue to compete in college. And if our junior cadet athletes are watching, there are upcoming collegiate tournaments coming up. There's the ECTC tournament. NCTA is also going to have a tournament. Lots of online tournaments, of course, but some of them geared specifically for college students. So if you have any questions, just find me, shoot me a message. I'll let you know all about the collegiate leagues, which I also came out of. So great job, Tyler.
Wow, nice score, 7.2 for Tyler. Nice big jump on that second Poomsae. It ends up with a 7.080.
준비. 시작.
This is Elian Ortega from Nicaragua. Ooh, little far over to the sides on those hand techniques. That's a shame. So he has good balance on the stances. Just needs to make sure to finish a little shy of that. Downward rotation on the fist. So these little accuracy things might affect the score. Really strong and balanced in the stance. Oh, a little bit of blip off to the left.
He finishes his horse stances out of the spin very clean, but they could be a little bit wider. They're a little shallow for me.
He's probably saying, well, if I want to turn fast, I have to turn at this distance, right? This little slightly shorter distance.
I understand completely.
This looks good though. A lot of it is very strong.
바로.
Little downward rotation on that fist keep popping up. So each time that happens, you might get a little accuracy ding. So look at that score though, 7.6. Oh my, good score.
Yeah, accuracy of 3.0, but presentation 4.6. So having a nice presentation is really helping some of these scores stay nice and high. Great flexibility here on the front kicks. Clean upright torso too. We talk a lot about making sure the torso, the shoulders aren't hunching or the back caving on the kicks. And so far on both of these forms, he's had a really nice upper body straight up.
Right, much better ease on this one. Although again, this line right here, a little short on these stances. He could go out a little bit longer and make that look a little bit stronger.
바로.
So again, that's Elian Ortega from Nicaragua, and he received a 7.6 from that first form, and 7.73 on this one. Sounds about right. And finishes with a 7.665. Next, we have Emil David. And Emil trains with Apex Tigers Martial Arts.
And Emil here back in the basement that we saw at the Summer of Poomsae, and then Grand Slam he moved into the dojang, but now here back at home, we like the basement.
Right. Wow. Your elbows on the turn here.
I'm sure he's practiced this a lot of times to make sure he's not hitting the wall or running into the pole or any of those things. Also, I think in the Summer of Poomsae, he also had kumgang, and there were no mats, because I remember him stomping on the concrete.
Right, I remember that too. Yeah, just crushing his patellas with every stomp. It's like, that is amazing. And look at this light, part interrogation, part spotlight. Just really like a raw kind of setting. You gotta love it.
A couple of those mountain blocks took a slightly weird path on the way to a good finishing position, so just kind of watch the path on those. But he's done really well on recent international tournaments, including third place at the last length Taekwondo tournament. Look at that score.
Yeah, 7-7. Interesting start point.
I think this is smart because 7 starts pretty narrow, but then does move to our left at the top of the form. So making sure that he has enough space to go that direction.
but it would be pretty exciting if it was very close to that pole.
You know, drama in our Poomsae tournaments never goes
Right here
unnoticed.
with this knee strike. Oh, that would be so cool.
So a little bit off center to the camera from the first form, but of course, first form, second form are all done in one video, one take. So it's not like we could move the camera really, and I think it was the right choice to make sure he fitted in the space.
Oh,
Wow.
look at that.
Wow.
Hold on to your hat. Wow, Emil, good job. 8.040 for that person. You got over an 8, you could just like take a lap. All right, so look at the standings. David Lee in first, followed by Ryan Real, Brandon Cho, Emil Javid in fourth. And then we have Andrew Hurd, George Chen, Elian Ortega, and Bangjian Kim in those top 8 spots, followed by Luke Ra, Tyler Daidoff, Sanjay Kandati, and Youngsun Yu.
준비.
But wait, there's more. Here we are with
중간.
Nicholas
시작.
Lopatin from Sky Martial Arts Academy in California.
Right, we have 3 athletes left in this flight 2 of the senior 1 male division. I missed what that cutoff was at the moment, but we have so many 8s. It's going to be such a high 7 into the semis.
Yeah, it's just a forest of 8s right now. Nicholas comes up quite a bit on this Hakdari Sogi, and I think that's harder. You know, I think it's easier if you're all the way straight or all the way bent, but in the middle a little bit, that's where a lot of wobbling can take place. So I think he's got to go down a little bit more to feel a little bit more comfortable, even though I know he's doing it to feel a little bit more safe up there. Maybe come down a little bit more, put your weight a little bit further back. Because he's going to drop down a little bit on this one, right?
바로.
Or he should, unless he stays up the whole time. So that was Nicholas Lopatin from Sky Martial Arts, and he gets 6.6.
제기 치어장. 시작.
I think he just likes those higher stances, right, Miyako? He just likes it a little bit up.
Right, consistency is important. So if you're going to be up, I guess stay up, especially with all those lines on the wall where we can really tell what your height is doing. But in general, I think that Nicholas can work on really lowering his stances, maybe making them a little bit longer so he can bend his knees, get lower. So there's a clearer distinction between the low stance and then here when he stands up all the way. It's only a couple inches difference, and we want to see a nice drop into the stances.
차렷. 예.
So Nicholas got a 6.6 on that first one, and now good for him, 6.7 on the second. So he finishes with a 6.65. But here we have Brian Mir. I think I'm saying that right this time, right, Miyako?
I'm not positive. I remember he did an interview in one of the previous things, and I want to say it's Mar.
Okay, sorry, Brian.
Brian, when you see us in person, you just gotta remind us.
Yes, he's from World Champion Taekwondo in Connecticut.
And Brian aged up into this division last year. He was at the 2020 US Open, which was in Florida at Disney. I missed it, but it sounds like it was a lot of fun. And he got a bronze medal in this division in his first year, last US Open. So let's see how he does this year. He also got a bronze in the Summer of Poomsae. So somewhat already getting great success in this division. We do have all those new juniors who just staged up into Senior 1, but he's very strong athlete already.
Wow, that backline set of stances is real clean. Both the Haktari Sogi and the Juchum Sogi is nice and opened up. Knees out, looking comfortable.
Yeah, remember, I think he didn't quite get the results he was hoping for at the Grand Slam. So maybe hopefully this round will be redemption for him and a nice good score of 7.6.
Yeah, so he got a 7.6 his first one. Now Emil Dravi got a 7.7 and then went up to an 8.040. So maybe he's gonna knock it out of the park here too. Nice high kicking technique here. I'm not sure about that foot position.
Quick tempo there on the hands.
Really giving himself time to finish clean every time. What do you think? Is he over an 8?
I think it's going to be high 7s, but I think he'll get a couple decimals higher here.
I agree too. So 7.63, right on it. 7.63. So good. Good judging from Miyako there. Ends up with a 7.615. I believe this is our last competitor, Jason Dahlberg out of Texas, Team Forge Taekwondo.
Yeah, that's right. He's our 15th competitor here in the second flight. So that's all of our Senior 1 males for the prelims since we had Flight 1 and Flight 2. So we'll tip top 8 from the last group, top 8 from here. After Jason does his 2 forms, we'll be able to take a look at that scoreboard and see what the score is. And it's going to be so high. Everybody should feel very proud. I think this was a very tough group to be in. A little bit careful approach here, maybe on some of the turns, but we saw some of the other athletes taking a careful approach, making sure that they were very stable, comfortable, and the score were high. So I think what's an important takeaway from Kumgang is do it where you can be comfortable, and don't try and think like I need to be super fast to match everybody else. Do what looks good on you.
So he gets a nice score of 7.43. Good height on the front kick there. Well, let's see how he does. So Jason got a 7.43, and then now this one is 7.4. So he's finishing with a 7.145, and our standings are going to come up now so we can see where everybody finished up. So we have David Lee in first with that huge 8, followed by Ryan Real's own huge 8, and Brandon Cho and Emil Javid in 4th. Andrew Herr, George Chen. How many were taken out of this group?
Just eight.
And Brian Marr. Those are our top 8 out of this group, and we're going to go to our next flight of the under 40 division, and we're going to be taking just 5 out of the next flight, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's just 10 athletes in the second senior male flight. Here we go. So senior 2, under 40, second flight here, and we have 10 athletes taking the top 5.
And first up is Kevin Liu from CW Taekwondo at Boston.
So Kevin is also just aging up into the senior 2 division, first year here, was competing in the senior 1 division, both individual and team. He was able to represent the US at the Pan American Championships in that male senior 1 team.
And I'm pretty surprised he aged up, because I thought he was like around 24.
He'll appreciate that you said that.
Super young looking.
Yeah, Kevin and I are hoping to do pairs, and our birthdays are only about a month apart. So I turned 31 in February, and his birthday is any day now, actually, in March. I'm not sure which day, but it's any day now.
Kevin gets a 7.67. Again, starting with a whole different group of referees here than that first flight.
Right, and reminder, the forms are Paljong and Pyeongwon.
Oh, nice height on that side kick.
Nice control.
Yeah, he really tries to reach up high on those. You can tell he's at his max limit on those techniques. He's not taking any off. Nice one to finish with on that left side kick.
Yeah, really nice job on those 2 forms.
That's Kevin Liu from Boston. And he got 7.67 the first one, and a slightly lower score, 7.63 on Pyeongwon. He finishes with a 7.650.
So it's hard to go first and open the division with a new set of judges. So good score there to open us up.
시작.
This is Ho Young-ji from US Taekwondo in South Korea. I think he's our 3rd athlete from this dojang.
Right, I think we will see some of his teammates, just making sure I'm looking at the right line of my notes here, and he was the 2020 Korea Poomsae national representative for this division at the Online World Taekwondo Poomsae Championships, where he got a silver medal. Really nice finish. Power a little bit low there on that single knife hand, but wow, such a great finish.
Kapow, 7.97 for Ho Young-ji.
시작.
Also very interesting, he was the coach of the Philippines national team for the 2019 Southeast Asia Games, which was in the Philippines.
So interesting. So his teammate was a coach for the Vietnamese team.
Right.
And he's a coach of the Philippine team. Interesting. Wow.
So,
바로.
Jeez.
man, and we saw his teammate in the first
저,
flight, right?
차렷,
Coach Brand? That was
경례.
like some of the almost 8. I think we might get there with this one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
8.23. Oh my gosh. We've had, what is that? 4 scores over 8 so far. 1, 2 in this episode.
A lot. There have been so many.
That was the fourth one. Point one. Here we have Minky Sang from Dwangale, USA. So did he win the Grand Slam?
I think he got second place in the Grand Slam, but he's been doing a lot of other tournaments as well.
If he was the Summer of Poomsae one, I'm sure
Yeah, that must have been it. I don't have all of the results here. Yes, you're right. It was first place in the Summer of Poomsae. Maybe he did get first place in the Grand Slam too. I need to make sure I have the notes next time. But he is one of the top finishers for this division in the U.S. And he's been competing in lots of international tournaments and medaling. So he's a really good person, I think, to go right after Ho Young-ji with that massive score.
Look at that, 7.84.
Man, what a stacked group here. Only 10 athletes, and we can only take the top 5. And we're already averaging so high.
Oh, nice clean score, 7.730. I think the height of Ho Young-ji's kicking technique is just really phenomenal, and that's what's giving him such a high score.
시작.
This
Yeah, and I
is
think that will
An Huynh,
influence the rest of the scores as well.
for sure. This is An Huynh from California.
I, of course, was the national team member in 2020 for this division. And I believe also was the 2019 national team member. So he's gone up against, he might have actually gone up against Ho Young-ji, who was the Korean national team member at the Online World.
프로.
And he gets a 7.6. So on that first form, we had Ho Young-ji with a 7.97, Minky Sang with a 7.84, and Kevin Liu with a 7.67. So let's see if he can really boost up his score here with Pyongwon. He always has very clean hand technique and stance work.
Right,
Nice
his
right
kicks
there.
are very clean. They have a really great placement. They don't drop. But I think the height here, we might see the score not go quite as high. And just because Ho Young-ji
Bro.
kicks were so high to open up the division, it's going to be hard to try and climb up if we don't have that level of kicking with someone which has so many kicks in such a short form.
This is An Huynh, got 7.6 for the first one, and very nice lift on the second one, 7.87. That's really going to help him quite a bit. So he finishes with a 7.735.
Hi, my name
What
is
was Minky
Barbara
Sang's
from
average?
Norway.
The 7.785,
7.85. Okay.
just higher.
This is Harold Berg from Taeyeon Taekwondo Club.
And Harold is another one of our international athletes coming to us from Oslo, Norway. And he's competed in the Norwegian National Championships the past couple of years, placing second and third for this division. We have all those medals up there in the background.
That's a lot of medals. Wow. And he gets a 7.0 for his form, Paul jump.
I think he could sit a little bit lower in his stances. He's coming up on the crane stance as well, so just really trying to stay grounded. Someone's another hard form where you have a lot of techniques, the stomps, all of that has to be done at the same height. So really trying to stay nice and low and grounded as you flow through those stances.
And he finishes that one with a 6.77. A little bit of a dip from the first score. He finishes with a 6.885.
준비.
Next up, we have Hong Young Park from Ons Taekwondo.
시작.
A little bit slower tempo here to open us up, but nice long stances here at the top bar. I remember from Worlds when we were at the Grand Slam, we talked about how one of the newer rules was to look up at your kicks with your eyes, and Hong Yong is doing a good job of that. I'm not sure that everybody has so far. Something I definitely forget to do in practice, and I'm trying to work on.
So here's Hong Park's first score, 7.2.
And he's competed in the US Open both in 2019 and in 2020 in Team Poomsae, where he got a second place, I think silver in both years for men's Team Poomsae. So nice to see him now at this US Open for individual.
I think we'll have the standings come up after this athlete, right? So we can take a look at where everybody is shaking out.
Right, again, there's only 10 athletes in this flight, taking the top 5. And we have some scores in the high 7s and a big 8.1 from Ho Young Ji. So we'll see what that cutoff is for now, and then we have 4 more athletes to follow Hong Park.
So Honga is 7.2, his first one, follows it up with a 7.1 here, and then he's going to finish up with a score of 7.15. And then here's our standings. We have Ho Young Ji in first, followed by Miki Song, Off Wind, Kevin Liu, Hong Park, and Harold Berg.
준비.
So with 4 athletes to go, Hui Huyen is the first one.
시작.
So he's also the third of the 3 brothers to go in this flight. And he's done a lot of coaching in the past few years. He was the Poomsae coach at the 2019 Summer University Games, so on the collegiate, tournament leagues, but also on the national team, he's been coaching at various different levels in freestyle. So it's great to see him now competing again. I think his front kicks are higher than they were at Grand Slam too.
바로
So that's a strong form for Hui Wen. I think Paul Jung kind of suits his style, his technique quite well. He finishes that one with a 7.7.
A really great fact
Chuck.
for Hui. In my head, I keep saying Coach Hui because he's been a coach so many times on teams that I've been on. But he has developed 27 team members on the U.S. national team for the World Championships and the Pan American Championships. So that's just an incredible factoid.
바로
Going for a comfortable height on the side kicks. Not much dip on his body, but a very clean extension on the kicking leg itself.
Right, so he got a 7.7 on the first Poomsae. And then out for Pyongwon, quite a lift there. 7.86. Like he finishes with a 7.7. 7.780, I should say.
바로 차렷 경례 시작 바로 차렷 경례 준비 시작 바로
쉬어. 경례. 준비. 시작. 바로. 차렷. 경례.
Up next, we have Sean Jung from the US Taekwondo Center in Aurora, Colorado.
Great to see Sean. He had some really great results last year. I think it was maybe his first year in the division last year. So now with a little bit more experience, very flexible. So we'll get to see those kicks in the next form, but here we'll take a look at the front kicks.
A really good height there. He put in a lot of time last year, so hopefully it's going to pay off this year.
He coaches a lot of athletes. I remember Summer Poomsae especially, we saw a ton of athletes from this dojang that he coached. So it's really great to see him both coaching and competing now.
Gets a nice strong score on the first one, 7.67. This is the last form of our division, right, Miyako?
That's right. It's actually the last form of this whole episode.
So we'll take a quick look at the standings after Sean is done, and then we'll know who moves forward with this flight. Nice reach on that first side kick.
It's a good volume of motion on his hand techniques as well. Pretty good control in the retraction of the side kicks on both sides. This is just a stacked division here, 10 athletes taking the top 5, and look at that score.
So he got a little bit of a bump after the first one, so from 7.67 to 7.7, so he'll end up with a 7.685, but here comes our standings looking for these top 5 competitors. So we have Ho Young-ji, Miki Song, Hui Wen, Han Wen, and Jin Kim in that flight finisher group to go on to the next round.
Thank you so much for joining us today for this episode, and we'll be back tomorrow with the Women's Senior 1 division.